you guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about financial abuse because 9 times out of 10, if you have experienced narcissistic abuse or if you've been in an imbalanced relationship, toxic relationship, chances are there's been some form of financial abuse. And honestly, it can take a lot of different forms, all right? And in a moment, we're going to go over a list that I've created in ways in which they've taken form. And some of you may not even realize that you have been financially abused, all right? Because it may have taken a form that's not the typical perception of what we think of when someone is being financially abused. Sometimes we really limit our perceptions on things and we narrow it, and it actually expands across a lot of different ranges and ways that this can actually happen, especially when we're dealing with a manipulative person. Okay, so financial abuse, of course, is when someone is abusing you financially. When their abusive behaviors have affected you financially in a negative way. All right, so, when we look at the bigger picture here of why is this happening? Well, we're living in a three-dimensional world, aren't we? And when I say three-dimensional, is things that we can see and touch and feel. I mean, of course, there's other dimensions that we're not going to get into in this video, but when we're talking about financial abuse, I think it's good to talk about in a three-dimensional sense, because here we are in a society that creates things, right? And we've given these things monetary value. Everything I have in this room, everything that you're touching and holding, you had to pay for it, right? There is some type of monetary value assigned to that. So when we talk about a narcissist who tends to be a pretty shallow individual, especially when we're in the low range, I'm talking about the low range narcissists in particular, and they are getting their value and their worth externally, they're going to be all about the three-dimensional world. So having all these things that they can touch and feel, and the value that those things encompass, that's going to make them feel more valuable because they're filling their voids, or they're filling their sense of worth and value based on these other things. Okay, and I talk about it all the time in this channel, how we fill the voids with the wrong things. And then there's an unhealthy balance. Money really should be, in a healthy sense, it's a tool. It's a tool that we use in our modern civilized world. I mean, there are people that are kind of still off the grid here in the rainforest and other parts of the world who, money is not a part of their world like it is for us, but for the vast majority of us, we're in this three dimension. But money is a tool. It really is. It's not something that we should be holding on to every penny, like we're never going to get anything else. If anything, if we understand the flow, we understand give and receive, we give and we put out in a proper way, we're going to receive back, okay? And then honestly, even a lot of times when we do it improperly, we still put out and it comes back one way or another, just not from that source that was ungrateful or that was stealing and deceiving, okay? So when you have a pure heart, let me just say that much. When you have a pure heart and you've given, and perhaps you've come to realize, I gave it to the wrong source, but I had the purest of heart. I was really being sincere. Don't worry about getting it back from them, because God does know our hearts. He will give it back to you in another way, okay? A lot of times our ego gets really bent on getting it back from the broken person that never appreciated it. And then when you met them, maybe they were already financially irresponsible. And then it could be a situation where they're not financially irresponsible. They've put a lot of work into being financially secure, but only so that they could then manipulate people in their life and use that to be able to feel powerful over other people. Okay. So, when we talk about it in those senses, the person could be a breadwinner or they could be a financial leech, okay, and still be financially abusive in that way, burdening you with all the, their responsibilities in a way that, you didn't sign up for, you're not okay with, so to speak. All right. So let me go right now down the list of things that I have here that could be an indication, or, these are ways that people are financially abused. When someone try to force a career choice onto you, so your parents could even be guilty of this, they're thinking about their senior years and they're like, well, you need to become this and that so you could take care of me later on, and I understand paying it forward. They raise you up and they get you to a certain point and they want you to be financially responsible and financially secure. But if it's only to help them later in life, that's a bit selfish. All right. So yeah, forcing career choices onto you. And this could be even negative. Like it could be a toxic narcissist that's forcing, and we can't even really call this a career choice, but it could be forcing a young lady to prostitute herself or anything negative like that. So, we don't want to limit, when I say these forced career choices and behaviors, escorts and stuff like that, this womanizing man could be older and getting this 18, 19-year-old girl fresh out of water, doesn't know any better, maybe daddy issues, looking for love in all the wrong places, forced careers. Or, this could also expand upon women who were forced to be stay-at-home moms that didn't want to. I mean, I'm okay with that lifestyle, but maybe you didn't want that. And your husband or your partner wants you to be forced to stay home because they know it keeps you very reliant on them. It's a form of financial abuse. And then if you wanted to leave the situation, what money do you have? You don't have your own money, and they're giving you pennies for allowance, or they're trickling, dripping money into you, where you can't really go too far or do too much here to make an exit strategy. Because like I said, we are in a three-dimensional world. If you leave, you don't have a family friend to go to, you want to get your own place, you have to have the financial means to do that. All right. So another aspect is tracking or counting your money. Or this could be someone that expects you to hand over their paycheck, of course, or try to make you account for everything that you spend, and I understand families coming on a tight budget and trying to save for something, or if you've been really irresponsible financially, your partner might be a little bit more sensitive to you with money for other reasons. And it's not because they're trying to financially abuse you, but they know that you're not as strong in that area. These are different things. So we don't want to confuse it either. Okay. But yeah, someone that's trying to track and take control of all your money. Sometimes it could be because money is coming from one source, like I said, in a breadwinner situation. All right. Because if they have all the money and they're keeping it locked tight, you don't have access to the bank accounts. None of it is joint. And, you have to come to them to get a bag of chips, Financial abuse, because they want you to stay dependent and reliant on you. All right. The next thing here is threatening to leave you. Oh, because they know that they're the breadwinner. Oh, I'm going to leave you and then I'm not going to help you. And, withdrawing the support, that's a form of financial abuse. These deadbeat guys who want their women to be their mom syndrome type thing, that's a form of financial abuse. And now, we're on the end of the financial leash. A forced family, because babies and bringing up children cost money and resources, okay? So a forced family, or, growing the family, like you have all these kids and now you feel like you can't leave because you financially need them to help pay for it, or if you're pregnant and feeling vulnerable in that moment and you need to be taking it light, and you feel like you can't break away at that point, so that's a way that someone can keep you financially abused. And I know some stay-at-home moms, every time they talk about going back to work, boop, they end up pregnant again. The husband is behind the scenes, passive aggressively trying to keep her tied down and deepening the ball and chain to them, because a lot of those men are insecure about, a woman doing better and making more money. Okay. And then when we talk about that, we're talking about someone that's sabotaging your employment opportunities. I remember someone telling me, oh, I want to go and be a state trooper. And they had to go do a training for this. And her husband thought of every reason under the sun for them not to be able to take advantage of this. So this is something that people are doing to financially abuse you, because it's keeping you, you're letting these opportunities go by you, of course, if you're taking heed and letting them have that control. Of course, if someone is literally denying you access to funds, all right? If they're forcing you to write bad checks, forcing you to file fraudulent tax returns, if they're running up large debts, from your joint account without permission, you have a joint account, they're making large withdrawals, and it's like, whoa, you didn't tell me about that. And then they'll try to gaslight you. Yeah, I did mention it. They mentioned something lesser and they did something greater. Oh, I'm going to take 100 out. Oh, I ended up taking 1,000 instead. Okay. Or, the same thing could go with credit cards. Maybe they needed to borrow your credit card and you guys had a close relationship. You're like, okay, yeah, you can use the credit card for that. They use it for that, and that. Okay. And, they're running up the credit cards, whether it's joint or just something that you're trusting them with. Or maybe you co-signed for something and they're not paying their share of it, but now you have to pick up the pieces to protect your credit. So, these are also ways to be financially abused here. And that goes along with breaking their budget. They're going to say they're going to do this and then it's something else. Another way that financial abuse can occur, you guys, is through gambling. All right. You have someone with a gambling problem. They will gamble before paying their own bills. They're not doing things in a proper order. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying yourself at the casino and having limitations on it and not getting caught up in that, not chasing that jackpot that the house very strategically and meticulously, and by the house, I mean the casino, has set it up where, the odds are against you with that, okay? Just like playing the lottery, all right? And not that and let me just sidebar, because people like to jump down into the comments. I'm not saying it's not illegal. It's not illegal to go to the casino at the proper age and to participate in your state's lottery system at the proper age. But when you're putting it before your responsibilities, you don't have your ducks in a row, you're doing things out of order, you're in financial issues as it is, that's a form of financial abuse, because then when you do that, now your partner has to pick up the slack. Or, they thought we were going to be on this budget this week, but you done slipped off to the casino and lost. And now, someone else has to pick up that slack somewhere, right? All right. Other ways of financial abuse is through infidelity. The side chick, the side guy, paying for prostitutes and all types of things like that, cost money. All right. Another way for financial abuse is just someone who just refuses to pay the bills that they created, or to pull their weight, or, you know, whatever the expectations were lined up, they said okay, and then they're just not doing it, you know, and they expect you to pay. And that can be a form of financial abuse. I mean, there can be situations, and we're not talking about two willing participant parties where one person says, yeah, I want you to stay at home, I'm going to pay all these bills, and it'll be your job to take care of the things under the roof of the house, and I'll go out and make sure we have the money to pay for these things. That's completely fine. And that's not financial abuse. But when the person doesn't want that, when they haven't agreed to that, and someone is kind of switching it on to them like that, blindsiding them with that, and it's usually not a blindside, you know, if that person was paying attention to how that person has led their life. All right. Using your social security number. So now we're talking about identity theft here. That's another way for financial abuse. Withhold money for your basic needs, like your feminine hygiene, your food, your medicines that you need, your clothes, your rent, or your mortgage. And then, you know, we can see it play out when they're generous with themselves, and they'll throw money on, you know, their things that they like to do. And then when it comes to even your necessities, like I said, they're stingy with you. Well, I make the money. I'm the one, I could do this, I can do that. And that tends to be an issue. All right, you guys. So I just wanted to go down that list of names, some of the ways in which people are financially abused here, just to, you know, paint a picture. Of course, there are millions and millions of other ways, you know, people putting stuff in your name. So I think that can go along with the identity theft there. But what do you do? What do you do? Because oftentimes we become an enabler. And a lot of times, especially when it comes to narcissistic abuse, we kind of started it. I mean, we started it. And that's why we were able to even attract that energy time and time again. I hear this in sessions where the survivor, they're a survivor now, but back then they just offered to pay. They started this cycle, especially with the feminine energy and a masculine energy. Feminine energy jumping into her masculine energy and just offering it. You know, they want to show how much they care. They're, you know, this is the nurturing caretaker side of them, but coming out through masculine ways, you know, because we can be supportive of someone or of a man without, you know, being his mama and, you know, taking care of him and stuff like that. But a lot of times we fall into trying to dust people off, trying to rescue people. And when they have a history of being irresponsible and they come to you in a state of not having their ducks in a row, not being financially responsible, and yet we're in shambles and blindsided and surprised when they continue that pattern with us. Okay, we have to increase our emotional maturity, you guys, so that we're not falling for that. All right. And I don't care how long that you've been doing this, you know, they have an entitlement, and then you're going to feel an obligation in the situations where you're giving and overextending to someone who's just selfish, self-serving, unappreciative, not reciprocating, and, you know, and such. So we have to let go of feeling obligated because we've created that pattern. Well, I'm used to giving it to them now, and like that can never change, that you can never put things in another way. All right. And I also, you know, for the stay-at-home moms, I always recommend that you continue to still work on yourself. Even if your husband wants to pay for things, it still doesn't mean that you can't still be financially savvy, that you still can't make moves for yourself in life, that you still can't continue to work on your credit and continue to grow it throughout. So that if you ever, for some reason, needed to jump back out there and do this and that, you have a plan A, B, and a plan C, honey, and you've been taking care of yourself this whole time, and you haven't just negated the financial side and aspects of your life, okay? Because there's ways you could be a stay-at-home mom and still come out on top and still be protected. Still, you know, not have to just pick yourself up from ground zero if this man decides to walk away. Because I don't have an issue with moms being a stay-at-home mom and a guy paying all your bills. I don't have none of that, but just also make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's, because you just never know. Life can be full of twists and turns. And it's always better to be prepared, because that's what opportunity meets preparation, right? Got to be prepared for it though. With that being said, a lot of devastation has happened to people as a result of financial abuse. And it can be really serious. Like, you could have been okay, at least okay financially, and then you just have a short relationship with a narcissist and it turns your finances upside down. People have had to file bankruptcy. People have had their vehicles repossessed. Maybe you got an eviction notice or got evicted. Maybe you were homeless and had to sleep in your car. Like, a lot of things. I have heard it all. I can't say I've heard it all, of course, but I've heard so much, guys, and it can be downright devastating to experience these things. You know, I've heard a survivor told me once about getting pregnant by the narcissist and being abandoned by the narcissist and having a high-risk pregnancy where she couldn't work. She ended up getting evicted, had to sleep in her car, had to bring her baby home to a shelter and really start to rebuild herself financially, because once a woman gets pregnant, and this is really should be a crime, you know, she gets vulnerable, and then that person just leaves her high and dry and not provided a cent, haven't done nothing, didn't care about any repercussions that would be on her life. And it was devastating. But that person definitely regrouped and bounced back from that situation. So if you're out there right now and you have been financially devastated by the narcissist, it's not forever. And there's a lot of resources, and you need to tap into those community resources. Do not be too proud. Do not be too proud. There's organizations out there that will help you, especially if with domestic violence, especially if you are with child. There's so many resources for you out there. And, you know, money can come and money can go, but money can come again. I found that in these situations, the beautiful part of it is these people were able to actually, in all these situations and all these horrible stories, if you don't give up on yourself, you know, God, like I said, God, He knows your heart. He knows what you're experiencing. He knows the betrayal. He knows, you know, the part that you played and the part that they played. He knows all of this. And you end up actually getting more. You stay diligent, you do your best, and God does the rest. You end up getting back more than you even had before. Isn't that beautiful and amazing? Okay, it can happen. I've experienced all types of financial abuse in my life, but I've recovered from every single one of them. Okay, every single one of them. And you can do it too. I mean, you might even be a situation where you're trying to just get child support and the father is getting this lawyer and trying to nickel and dime and try to get out of giving you that support. Like, all types of things can happen, you guys. All types of things. A female narcissist could set a guy up to be robbed, or, you know, you go have a wild night with her and you wake up and your wallet is stolen. Okay, like, people, it's 2019. It's 2019. We have to be careful and we have to be cautious, and we can't be led by our flesh. But the good thing about money is it comes and goes. It's supposed to come and go. All right, it's supposed to come and go. But you can get it back. You ever hear that phrase? A true hustler can get it all back. You can get it all back. You can get it all back and then some. Know that. Don't woe is me. Don't hold your head down, and don't be embarrassed or ashamed. You know, I still shop at consignment and go to Goodwill. I'm not too good for that. And if it's not your thing, if you need everything to be designer and Gucci and Prada, okay, go ahead and do that. But study rich folk and how they move. They don't need all that, okay? They don't need all that. And when I learned how I can get designer clothes for my kids and consignment and save a fraction, I was like, oh, that was very sexy to me. I was excited about that. But you're talking to someone who loves flea markets and yard sales and consignments and thrift stores, because you can find really cute things. And I have a good eye of, finding quality things. I'm good at that. But let's not digress. Let's not digress. The key thing is you're looking at a person right here who has experienced those financial abuse on so many ways. I'm not going to get in here and be personal and, talk about that. That's between me and God, but I want you to know that I've been there and I've done that, you guys, and I've overcome it. I've overcome it, and you can too. I want to, let you know that I have been homeless in my life before. I have been homeless in my life before because of narcissistic abuse and other things. So I've overcome these things, you guys, and look at me today. All right. So I know the devastations. All right. I know the devastations that a person can endure and experience. All right. I understand about giving people your last. Stop doing that. You get your last. You don't give your last away. That's another issue. Having that empathy and being out of balance with that. There's nothing wrong with having a big heart and being caring, but we have to have our logic here, and you have to learn how to start protecting yourself. You have to learn how to have boundaries and standard around your giving, because you have a big heart. You have to be that much more mindful about it, you guys. Don't beat yourself up for having a big heart, because like I told you, it's going to come back to you one way or another. But yes, you're going to feel a sting because you were out of balance. Anytime you get out of balance, you're going to feel for every action, there's a reaction, right? You're going to feel something because it needs to get your attention so that you understand that you were out of order and you were out of bounds, okay? So you need to feel that discomfort so that it gets your attention to get you to stop. But some of you aren't even taking heed, and you keep hitting your head against that brick wall over and over giving. All right, so if you have an issue with this, and you're continuously being financially abused because you don't have the proper standards and boundaries around yourself, and you don't even know what that looks like, and maybe it's something that typically starts in someone's childhood. It does. So, schedule an appointment with me on my website, lakiacrawford.com, and we can dive into this and dig back and finally end this chapter in your life and give you the tools to move forward, all right, and work that muscle and get it stronger so that you'll be used to, doing what you need to do to stay healthy and balanced and not be financially abused. Now, if you're in a situation right now where you feel like someone has all the financial control over you, you can still take some steps to help yourself. If you don't have any credit cards, find out what your credit score is. I believe freecreditreport.com, you can get your free credit report and find out what your credit score is. If it's good, you'll be able to get some credit cards that you can keep for an emergency. Okay, you can start out there. You can sneak and work a part-time job without them knowing. There's a lot of ways to even work from home. You don't have to always let the right hand know what the left hand is doing and vice versa. Okay, so learn how to move in silence, and I've made videos about that, you guys, and you can start planning your escape, getting yourself aligned with organizations and stuff like that, and start setting yourself up to break away or, get yourself empowered in that situation. All right. There's going to be things that you can do. All right. If you're trying to figure that out, that's a great way you can schedule an hour session with me and we can talk about those things as well. And I can give you some advice and suggestions for that. All right. With that being said, it's not the end of the world. Sometimes when we lose things, and because we live in this three-dimensional world, like I initially brought up, we put so much value to it. Oh, I look like a bum now, or I fell on my face, or I'm struggling now, or, oh, I let this person put me in this situation and I knew better than that, or you were someone that was just in that struggle love. Some women, they just sign up for the struggle love and they get with a dude that's not financially secure, don't have his ish together, and then guess what? Now you were doing okay, but now that you stepped in and you're trying to take care of him, it's sucking and it's pulling you down. I just made a video about staying away from the unlucky and the unhappy, okay? Well, that person isn't just unlucky. They've been making poor decisions, and that's why they are where they are, okay, you guys? So this isn't the end of the world. And if someone looks down on you and because of where you are and you're working hard to fix that, don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. But when you get in your self-worth, your self-confidence, your self-love from self, it won't matter what they're doing in the external, because you know the battle, you know what you've overcome, you know how hard you're working. If it's not good enough for them, they looking down like they're not in a glass house. Everybody is in a glass house. Everyone has been less than stellar. And trust me, no one stays on top all their life. Everyone has highs and lows and things to overcome and valleys and all of these things. So don't let them fool you. Don't let them get on your high horse, and stop attaching to the external. All right, do what you got to do for you and stop being ashamed of that. And it's only temporary. You keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, and over time, gradually, and sometimes it could even be overnight. You just never know with God. He's going to get you out of that, but you help him help you, of course. And like I always say, you do your best and God does the rest. But the last thing that you want to do is victimize yourself and feel like you are stuck because you need someone, you're relying on them for this and that, or, you know, they're going to try to take this and that from you. Get in your logic and out of your emotions, all right? And schedule a session with me if you need to do so. All right, you guys. I may make some more content on this financial abuse, but you know, we're over 30 minutes right now. So I'm going to go ahead and stop. My throat is kind of like, you know, I don't want to do too much here. All right. So if this video resonated with you, go ahead and hit the like button. It's okay, sweetie. And I know some of you can just absolutely cry for what you've done. And, you know, the shame could be, for instance, a single mom who was desperate to be with a guy. And, you know, she was just making it with her kids, just making it. And she just wanted to be loved, didn't appropriately love herself, didn't appropriately value herself. Okay. And she gets with a guy who's giving her time and attention, but he got his finances messed up, and pretty soon is messing you up. Then you're giving your kids child support to this guy, your paychecks, and now things are falling apart in your household because you're trying to pay for love. Okay. We have to have a respect for money, because sometimes we can financially abuse ourselves. And that hurts. You know, that's the shame and the guilt that we can feel when we've done it to ourselves. All right. But the good news is, when we've done it to ourselves, we can stop doing it for ourselves. When we've made poor decisions, we can stop making those poor decisions. And that is the empowering part. And when we think about how money comes and goes, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. Like, okay. You know, you seen those memes where you had the setback was setting you up for your biggest comeback type of thing? Yes, honey. Yes. So hold your head up. Don't worry about it. Some of the most successful people in life have had extremely humble beginnings, or have had times in their life where they really struggled. Steve Harvey slept in his car for 3 or 4 years. You know, Oprah, like all these people, Sylvester Stallone, homeless, Halle Berry, homeless, J-Lo, homeless. All of these celebrities, they was homeless. And maybe it wasn't from narcissistic abuse. It was because they were chasing their dreams, and, you know, they were grinding through the starving artist stages and whatnot. But all I'm saying is, people have started from the bottom and they have made it to the top. Drake said it started from the bottom, now we're here. And he rapped about it himself. You know, he wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth either. Look, you are in good company if you've had to go through the struggle. But you can overcome it by making better decisions, being willing to make the sacrifice, being willing to work harder and to be disciplined financially. Educate yourself and intercept your bad or poor habits. Replace them with positive, healthy ones. and taking your lessons. If it was a parasite, that negative person that was just sucking your resources, like, gosh, I was doing all right. I had a plan to save money, but now that they're here, I can't even save because they always in my pocket. They can't carry themselves, or it's too much for me, or I'm in a building stage of life. If you're in a building stage of life, why are you with someone that's not even trying to build, that's just trying to be taken care of? What do you think what type of effect that's going to have in your life, single moms or just men or people out there? All right, if you're a man, get your money right first if you want to take care of your woman so that you're in a position where you have done the work and now you really are ready to provide for your wife or your future wife. Okay? Get your ducks in a row first. All right, because then you're just financially abusing yourself at a certain point. All right. And there's just so many ways. There's just so many ways that this goes down. But, I'm just going to stop this video here. And that's enough of a talk today. I hope that this has helped someone. All right, if this video resonated with you, go ahead and hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe to my channel here. Take what you can to help you on your journey. Visit my website, lakiacrawford.com, if you want to work with me one-on-one. I'm a general life coach. I help you with everything under the sun, all right? And anything pertaining to this video or anything else, hit me up and let me know. If you want an appointment time that's not listed there, just email CoachLakia@gmail.com, all right? While you're on my website, you can check out my books. They're also available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, where you can get the ebook or hard copy. Off my website, you can get the signed copy. I have my monthly Patreon, where you can be a monthly supporter of the work that I do. Thank you for all the Patreons that I currently have. You can also see my No Narc Zone merchandise on there. Bumper stickers, coffee mugs, Scully hats, matching t-shirts and caps. Check that out, all right? And then you see the Teespring down there where you can show love for the channel as well. But great ways to do that is to always hit the like button, share the content, leave comments. It pushes it out into YouTube world, all right? With all of that being said, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. You can get it all back and then some, all right? Learn to be resourceful and keep being resilient, all right? And do better. You can do this. All right, you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video. And what do I say at the end of all the videos? Never give up on yourself. I don't care how desperate it looks. Oftentimes, that's right when you feel like you can't go any lower, that's right when it's going to be a shift for you. So you have to endure and stay patient, okay? Especially when you know you've been planting those seeds and watering it in the right direction. Your harvest is going to come, all right? With that being said, God bless all of you. I know this devastation. I know it. God bless all of you, and it's going to be all right, okay? Never give up on yourself. Continue to do the work, and until next time, please take care.